Welcome to Actions Speak Louder, a new program about Dominion Energy's projects and community involvement. My name is Peggy Fox, and I'm Dominion Energy's Media and Community Relations Manager in Northern Virginia. I want you to know Dominion Energy is committed to sustainable, reliable, affordable, and safe energy. We are laser focused on reducing emissions and achieving our goal of net zero carbon dioxide and methane emissions by 2050. Actions Speak Louder is our new motto because it's what we do that will get us to net zero. It also reflects our commitment to serve our customers well by providing safe and reliable energy. I'd like to introduce our guest today, Julie Manzeri, Innovation Strategist at Dominion Energy. Thanks so much for being here, Julie. Julie works on innovation, electric and autonomous vehicles, and today we're talking about two of our most exciting projects that rolled onward in 2020. Dominion Energy launched the largest electric school bus program in the country. Here in Northern Virginia, some school children in Fairfax and Loudoun County are already riding these electric school buses. And let me tell you this, Julie, come fall, children across Virginia will be riding these school buses to and from. We'll have 50 electric school buses on the roads in our service territory. So it's very, very exciting. And these buses are a lot healthier, both inside and outside the bus, right?
That's correct, Peggy. Actually, with an electric school bus, there is no local emissions, so no fumes from the diesel, and that goes for both inside and outside the bus. In addition to that, electric vehicles have quiet motors so that the children can talk, they can hear each other. There isn't a lot of noise from the diesel engine. But with that said, they also make a little noise so people can hear them coming.
They actually put a noise on the bus, right? Mm-hmm. So that, yes, otherwise you can't hardly hear it, like an electric vehicle, like any electric vehicle. Yeah. Also, one reason the school systems like them so much is that they're cheaper to run. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yep, that's absolutely true. An electric school bus is a little bit more money on the upfront. That's related to the fact that the batteries cost a bit more, but the schools experience a lot of savings in both maintenance and fuel costs, particularly in fuel costs with electricity. Electricity is cheaper. The buses are also more efficient. So a diesel school bus runs about 6 miles per gallon, and the equivalent for a school bus that's electric is about 17 miles per gallon.
Wow.
Even though it doesn't have gallons of fuel.
Well, there's all these great benefits for electric buses. It makes me wonder, well, why haven't school districts just bought them themselves? And it's because they're a lot more expensive.
Yep, that's
right?
correct.
More than twice as much.
Yep. And Dominion Energy is supporting that. We've developed a program where we actually get some useful value out of the batteries that are on the bus. So we're looking to study the duty cycles for the school buses so that eventually we can use those batteries to help support the grid.
That's really exciting, and that is called, I think, vehicle to grid technology. They call it V2G, and a lot of people don't really understand that, but could you help explain what it means?
Yeah, so what that means is when the school bus battery is charged, right, that charger works in both directions. So we can both charge the battery but also take power from the battery. And what that helps us do is stabilize the grid in local areas, as well as helps us provide power during peak demand periods.
Wow. So on like a day when it's really hot and everyone's cranking up their air conditioners, could it be that we could use the power from the bus and put it on the grid to help bolster the grid and serve those customers?
Yep. That's very true.
That's pretty amazing. Yep. But is there a lot, how much power is on those buses? How many could it, a lot, it could serve like a whole neighborhood?
Yep. So it's really the power that's part of the peak point of that energy that would need to help support when everyone, for example, has their air conditioning working at the same time.
Well, it's really awesome. Some people ask me, well, what's powering the buses? Can we have renewable energy power the buses? And how would you answer that question?
So Dominion Energy has a lot of focus on expanding both our solar and offshore wind program. So as we continue to make the grid cleaner and cleaner, actually what happens is all those electric vehicles, including the electric school buses, also become greener and greener.
Great. That's really exciting news, you know. Well, I mentioned Fairfax County. Fairfax County is getting the largest number of these buses out of all the 50 that we're putting out across the state. So Fairfax County Public Schools, they wanted all 50 of Dominion Energy's electric school buses, and we couldn't do that, but Fairfax did get 8, the largest number. And here's Fairfax Facilities Superintendent Jeff Plattenberg talking to me the day they got their first electric school bus. Take a look.
Well, I got to tell you, it's a really exciting moment for us to actually have our bus first delivered. I mean, the partnership between Dominion Energy, the governor of Virginia, and also the private providers, it's really amazing to have it come together to get us our first ever electric transportation vehicle to transport students. It's their world. They expect us to be mindful and sustainable, and this is just one step in our future growth towards an all-electric fleet. It's just an amazing day. The maintenance and operating costs are supposed to be approximately 60% less than a regular operated diesel bus. If that's the case, if we find that it's more cost effective, we'll be able to have a full conversation about why it's in all of our best interest to convert to electric. You know, the Commonwealth is leading the way. I have other people that call me from other states saying, what are you guys doing there? We understand you've got an electric bus program going on. I said, you've got to look at it. It's the partnership. It takes people like the utility provider, the governor being so actively involved in this, and the private the private service providers partnering together to go ahead and reduce those costs to make sure that we can go ahead and explore these opportunities. It's the way of the future, I'm telling you. And having the partnership, having everybody work together is the only way to make it work.
Loudoun County Public Schools have 5 electric school buses from the Dominion Energy program. After students started going back to school in person, they had a plug-in ceremony with all the VIPs, including children.
That's the future.
We are here today to dedicate our new fleet of 5 electric buses. We are really looking forward to the experience that this is going to give to our students. It's a quieter ride, it's a smoother ride, but more importantly, we're having a positive effect on the environment, and by that way affecting their future and the future sustainability of Loudoun County, the state of Virginia, and the entire country.
Dominion is very focused on decarbonization. Decarbonization of our own fleet, internally, and decarbonization in our communities as well. And when you think about decarbonization, it starts with transportation, because transportation is the biggest contributor of that. So we started looking at transportation, batteries, we started looking at regular cycles. When you start lining up all those things, it comes to school buses. What you're looking at is a clean mobile power station right here. On this afternoon when it gets hot, if we want to, we can actually pull the energy out of the batteries, put it on the grid, and not run a power station of whatever source it is. When you think about decarbonization, these 5 buses are the equivalent of carbon avoidance of more than 150 acres of trees. 150 acres in just avoidance of an electric bus versus a diesel bus. So now you can tell why we were so excited about these buses. And yes, we are going to continue on with this program.
So with all this emphasis on electric school buses and electric vehicles, I want to ask Julie, why now?
That's a great question, Peggy. There's been a lot of drive, towards electrification. A lot of that comes out of the vehicle manufacturers actually providing viable vehicles that work for their duty cycle. So a couple of years ago, there were several school bus manufacturers that were offering an electric model, and many of them have been tested in other states and other deployments. So that's been a large part of why we've been able to roll out this program, because there are a lot of viable options.
And how is Dominion Energy supporting this transition?
So with electric vehicles, not only are school buses being electrified, but there's also a lot of medium duty, light duty trucks, vehicles that we use every day on our commute to work or to get around in, as well as some of those heavier large truck transport vehicles that are also being electrified. So Dominion has developed a couple programs associated with our Smart Charging Infrastructure Pilot Program. And there are segments where we are offering opportunities to get rebates in the transit sector, as well as workplace charging, fast charging, and also multifamily housing.
A lot of different avenues there.
Yep.
That's great. And I think the more there are, the more there's availability for charging stations, the more people will want to buy an electric vehicle, because right now a lot of people are still hesitant.
Yep, that's
Yep.
very true.
All right.
Yep.
So you are on the Dominion Energy Innovation Team. Why does Dominion Energy need an innovation team?
So as I'm sure everyone realizes, technology is changing very quickly, and particularly in the energy industry around distributed energy, electrification of transportation, how our customers need and look at solutions, as well as a large emphasis and emerging technology around data and big data and how that kind of works. So the innovation team helps all of our business units stay up and on top of what's happening in the marketplace, and that helps our business units bring new solutions to our customers.
Excellent. Okay. You know, one of the really interesting innovation projects that I've seen you head up and have been able to and been excited about kind of partnering with you on is something going on right here at the Mosaic District in Fairfax County. And I'd like you to take a look at Relay.
Dominion Energy wanted to partner with one of our customers like Fairfax County. We've been able to put together a pilot project that offers convenience and opportunity for the citizens and the local community here to actually experience autonomous and electric technology, bringing them from the Dunloring Metro here to the Mosaic District where there's all these wonderful things to do.
We just have to think of the future. Transportation is one of Fairfax's greatest assets, but also one of its greatest challenges. So anything we can do to think smarter, to protect the environment, to think about our health, and using these kinds of innovations is the way to go.
Dominion Energy safety is number one to us. 94% of vehicle accidents are caused by human error. Because this vehicle does not have a human driver, it's not distracted.
This vehicle will never get distracted and start looking at its phone. I promise you that.
It's always seeing in its environment and much further out around its environment than the human driver is capable of.
For me, it is the future. It is exciting. You know, it's something we hope to see in more places.
Transportation is the number one contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. Dominion, with its net zero goals, are very interested in cleaning up the environment. So we're very interested in transportation, not only from an electrification perspective, but also what transportation and mobility will be like in the future.
So you might be wondering, why is an electricity and energy company deploying an autonomous electric vehicle? Let's ask Julie. Why are we involved in this?
Thanks, Peggy. So as you know, transportation is is now the number one emissions of greenhouse gases. So this goes right along with our net zero goal. So not only reducing the emissions that our energy produces, but also helping our customers reduce their emissions as well.
Right.
Additionally, right, autonomous vehicles are the future of transportation and mobility, and we see a large role in that transportation sector. So we want to understand not only where electrification is today, but also how autonomous can bring mobility solutions for our customers in the future.
So Relay is a vehicle we own, but we didn't just put Relay out at the Mosaic District and let her rip. This took months, if not years, to get on a pathway and to find a location. Talk about some of the partners we had to work with just to make this one little route work.
That's right. So in the project, we've had really fantastic partners, and part of that is we all bring our own expertise and skill set to the project, and that's really been the way that we've been able to actually deploy such a unique and forward emerging technology that's been out there. So Fairfax County is our main partner. They've really supported the project in both the operational component, the transit component, and people riding public transportation, as well as how the roads and infrastructure work. They've been supported by the state with both the Department of Rail and Public Transit, as well as the Department of Transportation for the state of Virginia. And what that's allowed us to do is make modifications around the route. So for example, Relay talks to the traffic signal. It knows when it's red, it knows when it's about to turn green or if it's green, and if Relay needs a little extra time to get through that intersection, it gets it. So that's one of the reasons we've had really great success with partnering with the state, Fairfax County, as well as 2 research institutions, both George Mason University as well as Virginia Tech Transportation Institute are helping us do studies and research.
I remember talking to you in the initial stages, and the biggest hurdle we had to cross was the federal government. Right? Even the federal government had to be involved because they had to give the green light from the start, right? How does that work?
That's correct. Yeah. So this particular vehicle needed approval by NHTSA, the National Highway Transportation and Safety Administration. So because of that, we also have additional coordination with the federal government, as well as the state police to get the vehicle inspected.
There are some other autonomous vehicles in like a private surroundings. Those vehicles probably didn't have to go through the same level because they aren't on public roads.
That, and it depends on what type of vehicle it is and what the approvals are around the vehicles.
But I know that this was exciting for Easy Mile, the maker of our relay, because they were crossing some barriers. You know, I know crossing Route 29 was a big deal. They hadn't done anything like that before, and there was a lot of work to make that possible.
That's correct. Yep. So one of the most important components of the project is to ensure safety, not only for the vehicle, but also the vehicles, pedestrians, bicyclists, everybody around the vehicles. So the project team did a lot of work to ensure that the deployment was done.
Well, I think safety is the number one. Obviously, it's our core value at Dominion Energy, and but for anybody, they want to know, is it safe? If I get on that thing, is it going to be safe? Or if I walk around it, is it going to be safe? And there's many levels of safety and safety mechanisms built into the structure, correct?
Yep, that's correct. Actually, if you look at the statistics, 94% of all accidents, traffic accidents, are caused by human error. There actually is not a human driving the vehicle. We do have a safety steward to monitor what's happening around it and also to make people a bit more comfortable when they ride it and try it out. But the technology on the vehicle is somewhat similar to the safety features that you have on your vehicles today. So if you think about adaptive cruise control, blind spot detection, your backup camera, which tells you when something is behind you, and keeping in that lane, your lane assist, that's very similar to some of the technology that Relay has, but it's more sophisticated, right? And more developed.
Well, we want to give you a little taste of it. You and I recently took a ride together on Relay, and guess what? I have a video of our trip. We got to meet our new safety steward, who also happens to be, wait for it, an airline pilot. Very cool. Also, we got to see and feel how the vehicle lowers or kneels and then sends out a ramp. So if you use a wheelchair, you'll have no problem riding Relay. Take a look.
Close first, so nobody tries to go out or come in. The lower itself.
Lower.
That's nice.
We're going lower. There it goes.
And if anybody was in the way or there was any obstructions, it would sense that and then come back in. So my background is, I'm a commercial pilot, and before this I flew pipeline patrol out in New Mexico. I love the DC area, so I came back after a year and found this great opportunity. I think the technology is fantastic. It's obviously kind of in its infancy stage, so there's definitely improvements to be made. But from what you see now, it's just incredible technology, and it's going to be the wave of the future. It's going to be commonplace all across the country, all across the world, and I'm excited to be kind of on the ground floor of that. All the dog walkers.
Sure, they know you.
I'm not the driver, so I'm only there in the event other drivers get in the way. The vehicle runs on its own trajectory. I'm only there in case there's maybe a car double parked or a delivery truck sticking out into the road. I'm there to manually move the vehicle around that so it can get back on its pre-planned trajectory. So the trajectory has been pre-planned by software engineers for this specific route, and the vehicle has been tested on it multiple times. It takes into account all the obstacles around it, curbs, buildings, trees, and it uses sensors which are located at the front and rear of the vehicles. And the localization sensor on top of the vehicle, which communicates with the GPS satellites to keep it on its planned trajectory. It'll stop for pedestrians, pets, even a squirrel, which I've come across. The squirrel has run into the path and the vehicle has stopped for the squirrel, so it's highly sensitive. You can see it'll pull up an actual stoplight and it'll give you a countdown of how many seconds until it turns green.
That's so cool.
4, 3,
automatically it starts? Yeah. So what if someone is running the light?
Here we go.
I always check.
He checks.
It would stop.
Yeah.
Sweet! People need to be more accustomed to it, see it on the road, know how to operate around it, kind of know its tendencies. And just from working here a couple months so far, I can see drivers' tendencies changing and be more open to the vehicle being on the road with them. It's a give and take, and they've been allowing the vehicle to be on the same road as them. Every reaction I've had is positive. From just being at a stop to our static display we do, everybody that comes up is interested in the technology. They want to ride, they want to learn more. Even out on the road, other drivers in their cars take pictures, they wave. It's all been positive. All of the attention has been positive. And this route in particular runs from the Mosaic district right outside of Barnes & Noble over to the Dunn-Loring Metro stop. Every time somebody boards the vehicle and exits, I clean the seats, hand rest, anything that's touched gets sanitized by me. I make sure of that every time. So it's safe. Requirement for riding. So you have to wear your mask, bring and wear your mask at all times, and just strap in with your safety belt. That's all you need. Please come out. Safety is always my #1 priority. I've learned to be safe. Learning how to fly from getting my private pilot's license to commercial license. I take a lot of that into what I do here. I do my own kind of pre-flight walk around in the morning. Always safety first. People should come out and ride this because this is the wave of the future. This is going to be in every city across the world, within the next 15 to 20 years. It's environmentally conscious. There's no carbon emissions. And I think it's great that people can have the opportunity to come out and see this firsthand, kind of before anybody else, and take advantage of it while it's here.
So I hope you go out and take a ride on Relay. And I'd like to ask Julie, tell us how long Relay will be running at Mosaic. Do we know?
So Relay will be running until the October timeframe at the Mosaic District. We are considering some different opportunities, not necessarily, potentially some route adjustments or hours of service. So those are some of the things that the project team is considering going forward. And that's the great thing about doing a pilot, is that you can use what you learn along the way to kind of make modifications.
You mentioned the research being done by both Virginia Tech and George Mason University. Since I'm a Hokie, talk about Virginia Tech first. What are they doing? I know they have the Virginia Tech Transportation Institute, and we've been down there. And what kind of research are they doing on this?
Yeah, they do some really interesting research in the automotive sector. They've been doing it for years. But specifically what they're helping us understand is how do vehicles and pedestrians react in and around the vehicle. How well does the technology work on pretty busy streets? What happens, how often Does the vehicle have to be stopped because there's, for example, someone double parked in the way? So they're really helping us work through, you know, how do external people react, and then how do the vehicles react? How does the vehicle react within its environment? So that when there are full-scale deployment, we can be much better at deploying.
And George Mason also doing a great job on their research, and they're more interested in the people factor from their point of view, right?
Yeah, and we think that's one of the most important things with autonomous vehicles because it's so new and so different than what is out there today, even though we're starting to get used to it with some of the autopilot features and some of the newer vehicles. Really what we want to understand is how does the public perceive or understand autonomous technology? So George Mason University, their team is helping us do surveys, understand if a small pilot project like this can actually help people better understand what an autonomous electric vehicle does and how it works.
What's next for Relay?
So that's a really good question. Pilot projects are supposed to be short and fast. So we're contemplating, again, as I had said earlier, some differences, some different ways in which we might be able to potentially expand the project.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us, Julie. And I hope those watching learned how important it is that we transition to clean running electric vehicles to reduce emissions and improve the environment. I'm Peggy Fox. Thanks for watching our first Action Speak Louder show, and we hope you join us next time. Be safe.